Alabama senatorial candidate Judge Roy Moore reiterates he refuses to concede the election to his liberal opponent. Judge Moore stressed he is committed to waiting on the Alabama Secretary of State to certify the vote tally. This after the race was stained with a defamation campaign against Judge Moore, as well as multiple voting irregularities on Election Day. Judge Moore emphasized he is fighting for America and for Christianity, adding he is determined to win. The Republican candidate also criticized left-wing ideologies as a menace to America's values of liberty and the pursuit of happiness.
This election was tainted by over $50 million from outside groups who want to retain power in their own corrupt ideology. No longer is this about Republican or Democrat control. It has truly been said there's not a dime's worth of difference between them. It's about a Washington establishment which will not listen to the cries of its citizenry, and the battle rages on. Together we must stand against those who would take from us our country.
And Judge Moore stressed the fight is just beginning. One America's Pearson Sharp has the latest on Judge Moore's decision to contest the results of that election.
The special Senate election in Alabama has come and gone, but Judge Roy Moore isn't taking the loss sitting down. Members of Moore's camp confirmed to One American News that he will not concede and that they are now investigating the results of the election. While candidate Roy Moore was counting on a surge of Republican voters pouring in from rural areas, his rival Doug Jones swept up the cities and black voters to pick up an extremely narrow victory.
You know, I really want to thank you for coming tonight and realize when the vote is this close that it's not over. And we've still got to go by the rules about this recount provision, and the Secretary of State has explained it to us.
But could there be more to that victory than simply the number of people who turned up to the polling booths? There are numerous reports that Democrats worked overtime to bring in literal busloads of black voters to tip the scales in Jones's favor. Other reports say the Democrats tried to incentivize black voters with offers of a free lunch and even $50 if they would come out and vote. Investigations are also looking into several counties that showed unusually high voter turnouts at black demographic areas, as these areas have never voted in anywhere near these numbers before. But the African-American vote wasn't the only one that counted. Democrats targeted college-age voters, and there are additional reports of students being bussed into polling places to cast their ballots for Jones. And there have been multiple reports to officials from around the state of illegal voting practices. That includes illegal aliens submitting ballots and even out-of-state college students being allowed to vote. The campaign says it's concerned about voter fraud and has major legal questions over the validity of the write-in votes. OAN was told the certification process will also look to address uncounted military ballots. The certification of votes will be finalized on Friday, December 22nd, after which legal challenges can be made. However, a campaign official claims there could be a challenge to delay that certification process. They add that Moore's lawyers are currently meeting with the Secretary of State to discuss their options.
Given the close count on the vote, I was not surprised, because the law states that if it's within a certain range that there will be a recount. So that's where we are right now.
Analysts say these tactics demonstrate a desperation to win that wasn't present on the Republican side. Days before the election, groups tied to George Soros and Senator Chuck Schumer's Senate Majority PAC dumped millions of dollars in a Doug Jones campaign, pushing thousands of television and radio ads. Meanwhile, Roy Moore had to make do without the support of his own party, as Republican leaders came out in droves against the embattled candidate, all without any evidence against him. Fighting both the Democrats and the Republicans, it seems the cards were stacked against Moore, making his close loss even more surprising. Now, for the first time in a quarter century, a Democrat has taken the seat in Alabama, and the Republican Senate majority is down to a single chair.
This has to keep Republicans up late at night worrying about whether they're going to be able to maintain the majority in the Senate, which nobody thought they would lose, but all of a sudden, that's potentially in jeopardy, as is the House of Representatives.
It's not certain what the investigations will reveal, but one thing is clear. Roy Moore and his supporters aren't giving up without a fight. Pearson Sharp, One American News.